Oh yeah, my dog's in my room, so like sometimes he makes some noises, like he
No,
might
it's
want to
fine.
go outside, so I'll just like pause and open the door for him.
No worries. Um, I think we're live, but I'm also not sure what's going on right now. We might have to. I don't know what this is, but we might have to cap it at 1 hour, and then if you want to continue, start another stream.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm not even sure what's going on right now, but yeah. Let me just put it on YouTube, on Instagram. Okay. All right. Okay, hi guys. I'm Farhan. This is Safehouse S2u podcast number 5, and I'm with Lil Asian Thiccie. As you can see, she's a rapper, a singer, and artist, and she's also
A
speaking
person.
a person speaking out a
Person.
lot on social issues nowadays. And I think I want to delve into a little bit about who she is and what she does and why she does things in the podcast. But before that, I just want to do like a quick little audio test. And for those who are here, just like let me know if you guys can hear me well. And Joe, can you say something?
Something. Hi.
Okay, and if you guys can
Can
also
you
hear
guys hear
well.
me?
Um, yeah, I think it's okay for now. All right, so moving like to start, I know that like it's a bit traditional, I guess, like start a discussion, whatever, about like who you are. But I guess everybody needs an introduction, and I'd like to like, I mean, how would you describe yourself first before I like throwing shit out for you?
I'm a Leo sun, Libra moon, Sagittarius rising. So that's like 2 fire signs, 1 air sign. That's crazy. I rap and like I sing with a lot of autotune because I love Charlie XCX. Uh, yeah, that's what I do, and I just like try to be funny the best that I can, and also respectful the best that I can. Yeah.
Um, yeah. What I think, I mean, I knew about Joe, aka Lil Asian Thiccie, which I'll be referring to her as from now. Um, uh, Quite a while before she started making music. But I also remember the first time. I don't think anybody sent me, but I was on SoundCloud and I was just like scrolling, and
Sorry, I'm
no,
listening
it's
to you. It's
fine.
my dog.
And I saw Hiao with you and Nyonya Business, and I was listening to it, and I think it was like the second minute that you posted it or something, and I was listening to it, and I straight away sent to Hoax, and I was like, wow, this might be like the best song of 2000 whatever it was, like 17.
Yeah, that was so crazy because we just did that just like for fucks. Like I honestly didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really crazy because I didn't even. I still actually don't really understand why people like it. Like to be honest.
I think in itself it's like a really good song. Like it's straightforward, it's direct, it's not too much in your face, and it's got a
Thank
catchy
you.
hook.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, I think that was like a great introduction for you as a rapper slash artist, and for me, like it definitely caught my eye to see what you would like do in the future. But do you want to talk about before that what you were doing and what you were like dabbling with, since that was only for fun?
I wasn't doing like anything. I was like 20, living my life, kicked out of my mom's house, but I was fine though. Like I was cool. No need to like be sad. Yeah, I wasn't doing anything because like I've always wanted to do music, but I have really bad stage fright. Yeah, like I can talk my shit, I can say anything, I can give a presentation, but like if you ask me to like sing, I would rather cut off my own leg than do that.
I mean, but you've
So
done this though. Yeah, like, you've
yeah,
been.
like I've always thought that like I would always, because I love writing music. Out of everything else, I love writing music. So I was totally fine with being that person who shopped out my songs or would work with people. Like I love writing music. So I kind of settled on that. And then, honestly, like I wouldn't have done Kiao if I hadn't started hanging out with you guys. Because I remembered you guys made me realize that it's so like accessible to just do it. Yeah, and then after
You guys as in
like hoax,
Joe.
like no, not Joe, like
No.
you guys, like
Oh, okay.
hoax. Because I remember when I used to come over to Laguna, you guys would just record something, and it was just that easy. So I was like, why not? Why not? For shits and gigs, come on. But yeah.
So you just decided to do it because, I mean, you wanted to try it out.
I wanted to try it out. I never rapped before that, other than like listening to my Pink Friday, being like, "This is my moment for life." I never tried rapping until that night, which was really weird. Like I don't know, it just felt right.
Yeah.
I don't know if what I was doing was rapping even, but I don't know if what I'm doing is still rapping. I mean, I feel like now I kind of have a grip on it, but yeah, just going with the flow, basically.
How'd you manage it? Like, did you use a proper microphone, or was it like
No,
with
we just
Ableton
use
or?
like these things.
What? Oh, no way.
We just use that. Like it was, and I think Mission, like he came over and he has Ableton, so we just did that, and we put it up at 4 a.m. on a Monday night, so I don't think we were expecting anything. Like there was no planning. I just went to sleep. I woke up the next day. I missed class, which is typical of me. But like, I woke up and everybody was like, "You're a rapper now," and I'm like, "I don't think so. Like, I think you got the wrong person."
Yeah.
And I realized, oh right, I put out that song, and then I saw a lot of people talking about it. I was like, "Oh my god, what? It's crazy."
So you sent it to Mission? By the way, Mission is a rapper, part of
he's an
Collective.
artist.
Yeah.
Mission, Morningstar. No, Mission came over to my house that night with Rel, and we were like, we weren't even like planning on making music. But the only person I sent it to was my friend Nisha, and that's it. Like I sent it to one person, and that was it. I went to sleep, and this all happened. Yeah.
And then after that, you thought that you might really take a hit at it, like properly.
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like at that point I knew a lot of people who did music, and then just like opportunities started coming, and it's just like, why not? Like I've wanted to do this, even though it's not the exact route that I've always wanted to go through. This is not bad. Like this is really cool. This is really fun, because I think like hip hop and rap, it's a really fun genre. You get to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can make it a joke. You can do something serious. You can do anything basically.
So, but why that though? Like, why hip hop?
Because it just happened, and I feel like it was like, why not? Like I still write. It has to be a little smarter. I guess like for me, when it comes to writing raps, I feel like I get a lot of pressure to make my lyrics really smart and really witty sometimes.
Yeah.
But like then it just becomes such a big problem in my head. I'm just like, oh, this doesn't sound smart enough. But I don't want to just be like, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like a whole process. But I think like I spent about like good year and a half just like trying to figure out what I wanted to do and just going through like what kind of like artist I wanted to be. But I always like, yeah. And then Get Money happened and I was just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I want to get to that at some point. But before Get Money, I mean, I just wanted to get like how you got around. I mean, I have a grasp on how a lot of people that's been around Hoax gets around, because generally it's the same way. They pick up a mic or whatever, they make a song like super quick, and then it's more of a social circle kind of thing, and then everybody works together, and then that's how people get their music out there. But for you, it's a bit different. Like, attention got to you like super quick.
That I just have to say it's because I've always had like this online social presence, because I've always thought it was fun. Like, I'm a Leo, I love attention, so obviously my socials, I like to keep up with it. And a lot of my friends, they've always like, I made a lot of my friends on Twitter, and they used to be like like back then the feminist Twitter, you know, we used to be the girls who came here to play, to don't fuck with us. Yeah. So a lot of people kind of knew my friends, and I guess when they saw my name attached to something, it's like they want to support me. So I feel like half of the reason why it became so big, and honestly, I think 80% of the reason why I was big and I got the opportunities I did was my friends having following, you know, and they believed in me. That's nice. Yeah.
So, like, you were in the Malaysian Twitter world, or like...
Yeah, like the SJ Malaysian Twitter world. Yeah.
And from that, basically, the people who would be listening to your music would be these people who were following you in the first place.
Not really. It was like a lot of them were from like my friends, because my friends have bigger followings, like way bigger followings on Twitter, like Nelissa. And I guess like, because I didn't really promote it, I think my friends did the first wave of promotion, and I was just like, okay, maybe I should do something. Maybe I should push it out. It's just luck. Like, genuinely, I feel like it was just a right time, right place, and zero expectations for me. Yeah, because sorry?
No, it's fine. Go.
Oh yeah, I feel like with everything I do now, like when I put out music or anything, I try to emulate that. Like, no expectations, just put it out, even because I think that works the most.
Yeah.
But I just can't seem to get that. But yeah.
Well, who would you say like really pushed you to that route? Like, was it just you, and was there anyone else like enabling or like supporting you to actually make it happen more, before we get to like the big time shit that you're doing now?
Oh, okay.
But before that,
I think it was definitely Sona One, because he reached out to me, I think 2 months after the song came out, and we met up, and he was like, I really want, like, we should come to the studio, just chill. Like, he didn't talk about work at all. We just, you know, get to know each other. And then, yeah, I learned a lot from him. I learned how to like write better. I learned how to make better melodies. I learned, like, he gave me my first real studio time, which was really cool. Like, I like that, because like not a lot of people get to do that in the start, you know? Yeah.
And did you start like going to studios after that, or?
Yeah, because his studio, the one that he goes to, is actually super close to my house. So I was like, why not? I was there like almost every day. We would just chill. We wouldn't make music all the time, but it would always be like, there was always music around when we were together. So it was really nice.
So you guys do have music to get like?
We do, but it's not out. I don't know when he wants to put it out. I actually haven't seen him in a very long time, because I've been like focusing on my shit and focusing on my school. Like, it's a lot, juggling school and music and having friends.
In terms of collaborations, like, I mean, Sona One, obviously like a big artist, but we haven't heard anything from that since like quite a while already. Right? I mean, you said like 2 months after you put your first song, and that's a while ago.
It's like almost 2 years.
But like in terms of other collaborations, like you and Zamira, it kind of made sense for me. With
honestly, like I've met her before, but I didn't sit down and actually get to know her until there was one time when it just came through the studio, like Mika's studio, and then Zam was there, and we all felt like making something that night. So I had already written something over a type beat, and I just showed it to them. We recorded it, and honestly, I thought it was just gonna be another one of the songs that I did with Sona One that was gonna be put in the vault, but yeah. And then I don't know. After 16 bars, I kind of felt like my career was going nowhere. Like I felt like I was a failure. I felt like
really,
yeah. I felt like wow. I just don't think I can do this. Like there's nothing. Like I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what's next, and I don't know who to ask. So I just started confiding in Zamira because yeah, she's a really comforting person for me to talk to.
so you guys became friends after music?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good segue, I guess. Like, just to have to develop something from the whole art scene world or whatever. But I also saw that, like, I mean, yeah, I know, like, we're slowly getting to the big time stuff. But I also want to mention that you're not really picky with like big time or small time artists that you work with. Like the song that you did with S2u, that I mean, he's very close to us. But
oh
like,
my god, I've always loved E2's music. So when he asked me, I was like, really? Thank you. Yeah.
So you were down with that too.
I love the underground. Like I just said in this like interview I did for this online, I don't know, like journalism platform, and they were asking me like, what do you wish that that could happen in the industry in Malaysia? And I was like, freaking underground scene needs more exposure. Like that is it. Like I just need to see the same energy because these people are so creative, and I hate it because I go to college and I hear all my classmates say like, oh, Malaysian music is like, it sucks, there's no diversity, and I'm like, you're not looking hard enough. Like you, and the problem is I don't blame you. It's like these people, like nobody is hyping up all of these people, and like for you guys to take the initiative to go out there, you know, it's asking too much, even though I think it's kind of a stretch. But yeah.
Do your classmates or whatever know that you make music?
Yeah, but they're also really scared of me.
What?
I have scary eyebrows, and I sit alone and I don't talk to anyone because no one talks to me anyways. So like, they're just inducing the cycle of me just being alone. But yeah, they know. Sometimes.
But you don't like get that like, oh, you're an artist vibe, and then everybody's like trying to fuck with you because of it?
No, they're just scared of me because like there was one time in my class that we had a debate on abortion, and I was the only bitch standing up and yelling at these men that no matter what they say, they are not going to change the law. You know, like I said, like no matter how hard you're going to yell at me that I should be pro-life, the law is pro-life. Like I should be pro-life because I'm pro-abortion. The law is still pro-life. Like why are you yelling at me? Yeah. So everyone knows that I'm like that bitch who will not just keep quiet when I see some disrespectful shit happening. Yeah.
So they're like more intimidated than.
I think so.
trying to get. I mean, I don't know. Like for me, I guess like if I'm just picturing you in more of like the bigger, you know, like league, right? And then if Sona One's going to college or whatever, I'm pretty sure that people. I mean, I would guess that people would be like, "Yo, what's up?" But what did stand out with what you said just now was that you are speaking on things more like expressively than a lot of your peers, and I guess that also trumps the fact that you make music or like people know you because of music.
Yeah. With that, honestly, it's because like I started out coming from Twitter. Like I started getting my traction from Twitter. Like the first bit of attention that I ever got was from my tweets about just social issues, BLM. And I think I've had more experience talking publicly about these things, and I've had enough backlash on me when I've talked about social issues for me to be confident enough to stand up and say something.
Yeah.
So like what I hated the most with my posts, like the big posts, were that everybody was just tagging my friends, like my peers in the music industry, and I'm just like, not everybody can be an activist. Not everybody is in a position that they can be, you know.
Yeah.
But I understand why they wanted them to speak out, you know.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, it's really inspiring. It's great. It makes you feel like somebody up there cares. But it's also just a lot of pressure to put on somebody. And
Yeah.
the thing is, like, with all of that, it just steered the narrative to like, oh my god, look at all these celebrities that don't care about us. And it's just like, why are we not focusing on the thing that needs to be focused on? Why are you focusing on people who don't care when it literally just shows that you're not caring about this issue either? So,
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
yeah.
we'll get there.
Yeah.
I think more in depth. But talking about like Twitter, also like I'm sure you. I don't know, but like for me, I have like very mixed feelings about local like Malaysian Twitter, and especially like people who aren't necessarily urban or speak English, and they have like very
Yeah.
drastic views about what Malaysia
Yeah.
should be and what Malaysia is. But like when they saw you as like like rapper and artist trying to come up in the way that you are, did you get like a lot of backlash or hate because of that, or was it just like, since you said you were also like already in Twitter known for speaking out on things?
On Twitter, I didn't really. The funny thing is, the reason why I started posting it was because, like, I've been very active online, at least with BLM, ever since 2017. And this year, it was a lot because I've seen so much police brutality, like videos and pictures. It's just a lot to like take in. I couldn't even look at like the pictures of George Floyd because I just think it's so traumatic to look at it. It's just a lot. It's just like I don't want to like go through that. So me and my friends, we took about 2 days to just process everything because it was just too much. Like, seeing so many people get killed online is just crazy. Which is why like I appreciate like trigger warnings, because I don't like I'm not a person that can handle that. So we were kind of silent for 2 days. Like, we didn't say anything. The only thing I tweeted was like Rosalia's new single, because yeah. But this random girl, I think, yeah, okay, this person, I don't want to misgender them, they posted online, and they tried to censor our names. So they called out my friend Nisha, me, and Zamira. And the funny thing is, Nisha's not a rapper, but they were like, oh, all these female rappers, and they're not saying anything about Black Lives Matter. And I got so pissed off because it was just so disrespectful. I just felt like this person is assuming so much, like they know so much of me when they don't even follow me. You don't know me. Like,
Yeah.
Yes, I know I have a duty. Yes, I know that I should support the people whose culture I've been appropriating. Yes, I will get to that. It's been 2 days, you
Yeah.
know. So after that, it was just kind of like another 2 days of me trying to defend myself, because I just felt like, because the thing is, like, when I looked through all the retweets and the favorites, I saw it was a lot of people who were either following me or used to be my mutuals, and I was like, that pissed me off, because I was like, these people were waiting for that point when somebody was gonna say something bad. Like, I
Yeah.
know it. Like, you could have just come up to me, and that's the thing that I had about that person. You could have came up to me and told me that you really want me to speak up on it. I'm a person just like you,
Yeah.
you know.
But like when you like first started though, like was it the same kind of reactions? Did they like still?
It wasn't, because we kind of like, I don't want to say that we started it. It was just like I was in the.
No, I meant like making music.
Oh, making music.
Like,
I
when
thought
you
you were talking about Black Lives Matter.
No, yeah. I mean, sure. Like, but like when you started making music, did they have like that kind of expectations of you anyway, or did what kind of responses did you get as like a female rapper starting out into like the local Malaysian scene, especially concerning how Malaysia actually
Here's the thing, though. I feel like people don't give a fuck about female rappers unless it's a gimmick, or unless they want to bring us down, which is exactly what I felt with that person who put out that tweet. I thought
Yeah.
this person didn't name any single male rapper. I know so many of these male rappers who say the N-word, who do this, who get braids, and they didn't say shit. But you want to come up here and you want to fight me? Like make it make sense, babe. Like, make it not sexist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like 2 days of me just doing that, like, yeah. And then I kind of realized the bigger picture. Like, I did want to use my platform for something good. And the one thing that I do believe in, like, firmly, is that I really want some reform when it comes to, like, immigrant rights and the way that immigrants are treated here and migrants are treated here, because it's just, it's like repulsive, you know? So that's what kind of led to that.
With like, I mean, this is what I'm trying to paint a picture though. Like, I think you yourself, like, have very distinct perspectives than, like, majority of people in Malaysia, and like, how does that affect you making, like, music, or you're in the art scene or the creative arts? How does it affect you on social media? Like, I don't know. I'm like, I have a feeling, for me, if I were, like, as vocal as you are about these things, and I was, like, nearing your level of, like, popularity, I'd be kind of, like, reserved a bit. I wouldn't, like, talk like, I wouldn't be as vocal, because I know in the back of my head, like, my uncle would be, like, super Islamic and conservative, for example, you know, just, like, having that experience around me. And I would just like to know how your experience was when you started, like, having more and more of a say, a voice, and, like, having these, like, distinct perspectives.
For me, I wouldn't say my family's woke. My mom lets me have my own opinions. So, and the thing is, like, I'm really blessed to come from a background where my parents are really laxed and also they don't know how to access social media that well, which is great.
Okay.
So they don't even know I'm really doing music. Like, I'm just doing this and being like, yeah, I'm going out, But it doesn't really, like, I did kind of reflect back, and I was worried that being this vocal on social issues, maybe it would rub brands the wrong way, or maybe, like, an opportunity would come along that was really great for me, but some people might find out that, might say, like, oh, this brand goes against everything that you're saying, and it's gonna be hard for me to get the bag.
That's what I mean.
But I feel like, honestly, I don't know. I feel like a part of me thinks this is, like, thinking in that way, you're just gonna allow these brands to continue to conform.
If you don't like,
if you don't speak up, and if you don't incite people to show them that you have the buying power, you have the power to get these people to change, you know. And I feel like that's the way I see a lot of, like, Malaysian culture. It's very complicit. Like, people are scared, or either that, or, like, the media tells us that we need to tell these people what to like and blah blah blah. You know. So I feel like I'm trying my best to not step on anyone's toes, but also stand up for something. Yeah.
And apart from, like, social media, like, where you are, I mean, you're more free, but, like, how do you, like, show that in your music? Like, how are you, like, maybe, like, a choice of lyrics, or I don't know. For
me, I feel like, these days a lot of, like, I feel like with female rappers these days, we're always very sex positive, and I think that is, like, also, it could also be a form of, like, standing up, activism, but I don't think I would necessarily say that my music is fighting for a cause. Yeah, I don't think I get to say that, because I don't really see it that way. And it's not because, like, I don't want it to. It's because I think it will be downplaying other people who are actually trying to do it, you know? So, yeah.
Like, if you're not completely serious about it or something?
And it's not about me being serious. It's like I can't find the words to put into my music, or I'm not confident enough in my music to, like, carry it out like that.
Then
Wait.
look, like moving forward to so like what is your music more about, like just like a fun vibe?
I think right now I'm trying to get more comfortable with being honest with myself when it comes to writing.
Yeah.
Because, like, whenever I do write more serious stuff, I always try to project it to other people. And it's always for other people. And
Yeah.
I get them to do it because I'm too shy to actually be, like, vulnerable. Yeah.
But like even early on with the Hyao song, like your lyrics are just, I mean, it's different in the sense that you're exploring more like sexuality and like things that I guess like male rappers just don't talk that, I mean, just don't talk about. And it's, for me in itself, that's already something that is like that you're bringing forth to the table, you know. And
I guess, like, to me, I didn't see that because, like, I didn't put myself in that wasn't my headspace when I wrote that. That was just me being me.
yeah, I mean, that's
But
what I'm saying though.
yeah.
Like you're more honest. You were honest from the start.
Yeah.
Right. Like with like your own lyrics, and you're not trying to like fit the idea of what a female rapper should be or like say, for example.
I think, like, it applies, like, that applies to here. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, to me, I feel like my lyrics, they're not that different from shit that pops up in, like, Western
Yeah.
industries.
Yeah.
But, like, over here, it's different. And I also think it's because I'm privileged enough to, like, not be tied to a religion, not be tied to, like, a really conservative household that's, like, you can't say that shit.
Yeah.
I can't say that shit.
I mean, with that also, like you, I mean, the very, okay, I'll just, like, Hiao is, like, I think your best song. I mean, that's it. Because it's, like, you're, like, localizing, you're, like, relaxed, you don't think too much about it, you're having fun
Yeah.
with it. You know,
I have to agree with you.
You know,
honestly, like, I hate my song. I hate the stuff that I have out. And I know I'm not supposed to say that, but...
well, but what I
Live and learn.
like about it the most is that it's very like local, you know, like it's not something you've heard before outside. It's not like how rappers are, because you're like in it, the title is Hiao, you know, like you're talking about how people talk here. Yeah, and I think a lot of a big problem that I see in the creative, I mean the music industry, especially rappers, is that they're trying to emulate how it is there, and they're trying to talk about things like it is there, and their lingo and whatever the words that they use is very different from how they actually are here. So in that way, like, I would say that you're more of a Malaysian artist than a lot of other people in Malaysia.
Oh my god, that's so funny because, like, I feel like I'm the least Malaysian person on earth.
I mean, I think people point that out. I mean, with like very surface level things, like how you have an accent, for example, and you can't speak Malay. I mean, but no like offense or anything, but like
No,
this
it's
is very
fine. It's totally fine because, like, at the core of it, I am a diaspora kid. Like, I didn't grow up here, and I wish like, I could turn back time and change everything.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like it's the same way, you know, because I only got to Malaysia when I was 11, and before that, I was also like around the world, and it was like a really hard time for me to transition, especially also at some point I like went to an international school for like 3 years.
Yeah.
So like for me to just fully fit in, it was also a difficult process, but the fact that you're already like applying things that you are like how you are here to your music, that already shows that, you know, you've stepped above just like copying what it is that is outside. Yeah, okay. And then moving forward, how is it like you were invited to 16 Baris, 16 Baris, and I think we had Guard last podcast as well, and like for me, I mean for him, like it definitely seemed like it was a stepping stone from like underground SoundCloud level to like big time artists, because he came there and he thought it was just like one camera or whatever, and apparently it's like a whole
it's a whole setup,
like a whole production crew and everything.
Yeah. It's really intimidating. I think I always questioned why I was there. I didn't know whether it was because I was close with Sona One, and he got me onto there. Cause like, I don't think I have imposter syndrome. I think I'm just like, I have really bad self-esteem, and I let that become self-slander at times. But yeah, I don't know. It was really fun. It's a fun experience. I was more concerned about my ankles because I have really bad body image issues too. So I think my verse was nice. That's all I don't know. But it did. I feel like the one thing a Numbers Bars did for me was that it made me doubt myself because I would see people come on a Numbers Bars and then they had something to like promote, and I didn't.
Like
and
a project or something?
Yeah, and I didn't know why. Like, I don't know why I didn't have anything to say. I didn't have anything to show. And like, you know, I was getting a lot of pressure, and it was nice to hear people say like they were looking out for my stuff. They were looking out for me. They see a big future for me. But it was like so much pressure because I just felt like I'm getting all this support, but I don't know who I can turn to for help. Like, it just felt like everyone wanted to fuck with me, but nobody really wanted to fuck with me. And I knew it's because the way I presented myself and the things that I was saying. So I guess, like, again, like, going back to your question about being really vocal about social issues and being scared about it, like, I've been there. Like, even with my music and the way I am, it's just like, why not just push another button, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, I would get all these industry people telling me that they love my music, but it was like, I know that they couldn't or wouldn't collaborate with me or like work with me openly because of the way I am, and it would clash with like what they needed to comply with. And that's fine, like business is business, but it's just so heartbreaking for me. Like, I just felt like I would not really get anywhere because I would have to like compromise too much of myself.
Yeah, but was it like weird though when, like, I mean, Numbers Bias, I think it was, I mean, that is the, I don't know, the portrayal of what Malaysian hip hop is, just like,
Yeah,
I mean, for me it's more like testosterone, like, yeah, you know, rap.
I feel like it's just a fun thing to, honestly, I don't really go there to like, I don't know, I like watching it just because I like being introduced to like people who in the scene that I may not know of.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's nice. I feel like I was looking forward to season 3 because I feel like after season 1 and season 2, like, they've run out of like the people who are known.
Yeah.
So we could bring on real people who don't really have a platform, who don't really get to be heard, to actually put out their shit and to actually, like, you know, do a little 16 bars on any beat. But we haven't gotten to that point yet. I don't know if there's gonna be a season 3. I don't know if they're like gonna be filming it this year or next year. But I feel like when they get to that point where they actually bring out people that we don't know about, you know, like entirely. I'm not talking about a few episodes. I'm talking like seasons of people who are totally new, and they become the platform to actually push these people out. Then I feel like it'll get more interesting. Yeah.
So since no, go on.
Oh, because I feel like because 16 bars is so big right now, the new people that come in, they're gonna come in with everything.
Yeah.
Because when I went on 16 bars, I wanted to make sure my verse was like really good. Like, yeah, I'm gonna talk big shit. Yeah, I'm even talking about dicks, but it's gonna be so fucking good.
But like rap though, like were you like trying to like rap or like wordplay and shit?
Yeah, I was trying my best, but honestly, like, I feel like my wordplay is still like still there.
Uh-huh.
Puns, I'm getting there.
So since then, like, I mean, I don't know, like, since then I think you really blew up and then started getting like big time gigs, and even Good Vibes, I thought that was like really impressive for you, like as a indicator, you know, of like how far you come. So how has that experience been? Like, is it, I mean, you said you have stage fright, you know, so was that like an easy process to keep doing these big time gigs?
That's where Zom comes in. Like, he, ever since we went in the studio to make Get Money, we just like, I started being more comfortable, being really vulnerable to her. And she, when we were doing Get Money, like right afterwards, she would just show me that performances, like, you don't, some people don't immediately like get on stage and just know to do. It's all like rehearsals, and then at some point you don't need a rehearsal for smaller gigs.
Yeah.
So she taught me that like the more gigs you do and the more rehearsals you do for gigs, the easier it gets. Because like I feel like I resonate with them. Like I want to put on a show. Like I want to entertain people. I don't just want to show you my music because you could literally just listen to that on Spotify. Like I want you to have a good time with me. So I feel like without her, without her like breaking it down into like components,
Yeah.
and that there are ways to tackle like stage fright. There's ways to prepare for stage fright. Like I wouldn't be able to like get up on.
So she's kind of like your performer, mentor.
I feel like both Mika and Zam were really
Uh-huh.
like pivotal for my like in me honing my artistry, and like because Mika taught me a lot about music and Zam taught me about business and about performing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like really nice to have like two people.
I mean, off the top of my head, like, I don't think there are even that many female rappers to begin with. Like, I mean, in comparison, like, even hip hop itself, like, the genre itself, it's obviously, like, male dominated.
Yeah.
You have Zamira, Hulera, Bunga, but other than that, like, I, like, start to really have a hard time thinking about female rappers. And, how was it for you, like, being a woman in hip hop in Malaysia somewhere? Was it like a difficult process to even begin? I mean, I don't know. Like for me, I think that like from the get go, you didn't really have an issue. But I just wanted to know if you had like specific insight or anything that you can tell other upcoming female rappers. Because I feel like it might be intimidating too.
It is. And honestly, like the industry can get very like there are ways that people will take advantage of you, but you just gotta stand on your ground. Yeah. And I feel like it's really hypocritical for me to say because there's a lot of things I've compromised to either get to my position or to be like to know the people that I know. I don't know. I feel like every time people ask me for advice, I took back and I'm like, do you have any advice for me? Because I really have no idea. I feel like I'm just going through this like day by day. I've just only started like finally finding my sound. And I'm still really scared that like people are not gonna like it. Or people are just gonna be like, what's she doing? Why can't we just get another Get Money? So yeah.
No, I mean, why can't you though?
I don't know. I wish I had the answers. I don't. Like, I feel like, yeah, I might not understand why so many people like yeah, but like, I do understand why you like it and why people. I understand, like, I think out of everything that I put out, I like that the most because it was the most smooth.
Yeah.
It was the most like, no thoughts, empty head, just yeah. Yeah, and I just want to get back to that, and I'm trying to, and I've been working on stuff to get to that point. Yeah, like I really hated We Don't Want to. I hated it so much. Oh my god, I feel like I just rushed to put that shit out. Like that's one thing I learned. Like never rush yourself and don't put pressure on yourself until you're ready. So I'm trying to do that.
So take your time. I mean, if you really want to make it, I guess.
Take your time. I feel like that's one thing. Don't be pressured. Don't be pressured. Yeah, I think it's just really hard when like you're pushed into like a get money sphere.
What is that like? I mean, like, tell everyone about like what that experience is like, because I feel like you're talking about it like it's a bit different than what you usually do.
It's just a lot of like very like it's not very mainstream. I don't know how people who like go into like the mainstream rap or anything or music anything in Malaysia like mainstream and survive that. Like I just can't, because not because like I'm looking down on it or anything, it's just because like for me I just felt like I was compromising too much of myself. But one thing I did learn from it was that I can actually like still say what I want to say. It's just I have to be a little bit more like smart about it when it comes to like censorship.
Yeah.
Which is censorship sucks, and it sucks. But it also helped my writing, so I think that was good.
So was it because you were working with like Zam's label?
No, it was more of like I experienced what she had to go through, you know, like she had to like go on these TV shows where you can't wear this and you can't do that,
Yeah.
you can't say this, and it was just like, oh my god, wow, why though? Like, why can't I just what? Like, there was so many rules about like arms and stuff, and I was just like, what? It's weird. Yeah, that's all I have to really say. I feel like I can't really comment too much on like the mainstream industry, because I wasn't there for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But
what do you mean? Like you're out of it?
I don't know where I am, honestly. I feel like people like get bored really easy, and I don't know if it's because I'm on Twitter and I see that happen all the time, like people getting bored and people moving on. But I feel like every time I'm not doing something, people forget about me. Yeah, like personally for me, that's what I think, and it's not me trying to like beg for your attention, but it's just like this is my thought process.
Yeah. Is it like scaring you to go to that route? Do you have plans to go like actually mainstream and get some? I mean, I'm not even sure. Like, are you in the talks to like get signed or anything?
I'm not signed. I feel like nobody would ever sign me because they're like, she is too much work.
Yeah. But you've never had any offers or anything like that?
No, I haven't. That's the thing. Like, I've never ever been offered like a deal ever, and I don't know if I would take it because I'm really bad at making decisions, anyways. So I don't know if I would take it, but I feel like right now I'm just trying to get people to like my shit. Like I want people to like my shit in terms of like I want to like what I'm giving other people to like. Because I feel like so far with like the last 2 tracks, I've just been giving people things that I didn't like, but I knew they were gonna like. Do you get what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you're just like trying to feed them as a rapper or whatever.
I'm just trying to like give them the idea that they think I am. You know, like this impression, this image of who I am.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you don't think, because of what you're trying to do with your future music, you don't think that you'll ever be able to commit to signing?
I think I will. It's just like I know so many horror stories about people who've been signed, and I'm so terrified to go through that. I cannot like.
Yeah, I mean that's what I wanted to get into, because like it's always really like the same kind of similar stories, where it just backfires.
Exactly, and it's like no matter how airtight your deal is, these are the people who are giving you the money to do all of this. Like, you know, you gotta pay the devil comes to collect. People forget about that.
Yeah.
They forget about all of it. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. I mean, like we've passed like the music part. I wanted to actually have you be on this podcast because you have been very vocal on Twitter. I mean, you've already spoke a bit about it like 15 minutes ago, but I before we get to like the more of the global issues like Black Lives Matter, I really wanted to know like what you think about how it is here, like social issues that are like going around here. Obviously there's like systemic racism that people don't really understand, and sexism, and I don't know, like is rising is Islamism, you know, and I don't really want you to put you in that position where you have to like really speak for everybody, but just like having to be able to share your experiences or how you can relate that. I mean, as an artist, like you said, you can't wear certain clothes on TV, for example.
Yeah.
And then you want to share a bit about that?
For me, right now, I feel like the thing is like I can't come up here and say that I have shared my fair share of like sexual discrimination, but the problem is I'm like not a person to fuck with. Like I don't let that shit get to me. Like when people will catcall me, I whip out my phone and I start harassing them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I don't think I'm like the right voice per se to like speak up on that. Maybe when I was younger, like I remember being in school. There was this year that I actually went into homeschool, and it was like a all Chinese, all Christian homeschool, and out of everybody, I was like the darkest, and that's funny because I'm in no way like dark skin, hashtag melanin, but to these people, I was the devil's incarnate. I had big boobies, I had like strong eyebrows, I had blue hair, and my okay, now that I'm describing myself, even I think I'm the devil's incarnate. But yeah, and I was darker and bigger, so they kind of like would villainize me, especially the adults, which is really fucked up. Like, what are you doing villainizing like a 16-year-old? Are you like a child? I remember they told my friend not to hang out with me because I would jump. They would say that. They were like, oh, she always just jumps around like that. And she was just like, what the fuck do you mean? And I knew what they meant. Like, I knew they meant because I have big ass cities and they don't want me, like, just living my life because they think that was sexualized, or they would sexualize me.
Yeah.
So I feel like with that, because like I did go through puberty pretty early and I did like come into my body really early, I experienced just being sexualized at like a really young age. I remember like I think I was 9 when people would start talking about my boobs, and I would just be like, what? I just started getting 9 or 8. Like it was really young. So I've had my fair share of that, and I think like because my mom's always been really vocal about really fucked up things, like she never wanted me to be quiet about ever like sexual assault or anything. And she always taught me to speak up about it. So whenever people would even get anywhere close to even like a harassment, would just call them on their shit. And I feel like that is something that I wish a lot of people, like Asian women, especially in Malaysia, could like kind of be taught how to be like vocal, because that's the problem. And like I saw this tweet like the other day that was like, when a kid tells you that they've been touched, like you should believe them, because why would a kid say something like that?
Yeah.
And that's so true. Like, why would kids have to lie about that? Like that's unless there was some kind of psychotic bullshit, which most of them aren't. Yeah, like it's so crazy because I've known so many people who've been like molested as children, and it's like it's so distant to me because like my mom really made sure I wasn't in that position, but it's like really scary to feel that. And I feel like my closest idea or experience to that is just like my childhood, like just being sexualized as a young kid.
I mean, I think like what you mentioned just now is like Asian. I mean, I don't know about like, I guess I'll just repeat what you said, but like Asian women not being vocal, or like not having that like confidence to be able to like speak on things, and that you had that support from your family to be able to do that. And I think that ties into a lot of how it is in Malaysia, especially because of that. It's just that there's not really a culture of calling out shit, and it reinforces a lot of these issues, and which is a great segue to tying into you having Twitter and like being known for your music, but also on social media, to just like spark that I don't know what it's called, like behavior, like being able to like being vocal, and not because of anything other than the fact that you just need to talk about certain things.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I feel like the music industry in Malaysia idolizes all these Western artists, especially hip hop. They idolize all these black people, all these black rappers, up until it comes to like social responsibility, And I'm not shaming them whatsoever. Like, again, I said activism is not for everybody. Speaking out is not for everybody. The backlash is crazy. Like, I've been sent death threats ever since I've been on Twitter. Like, I've had people stalk me. It is not fun. I would turn back time and not do all that shit, but here we are. We're just gonna keep going. It's just like, I see so many of these kids who go to 6 and they know every single line to like K-Dot songs, but Kendrick is like one of the biggest advocates
Yeah.
for BLM, like ever since like the start, and it's just crazy that they can't connect the two together. So I feel like to really do hip hop justice and to like really do Black culture justice when you're appropriating it, it is to also stand up for them, because I feel like, yeah, oppression is not a competition. It really is not. But you also can't deny that the basis of like Black culture has just been stemmed so much in racial discrimination, like for years.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
And
And yeah, it's just like I felt like, yes, I agreed with some people that Black Lives Matter is getting such a big spotlight. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve it, but I also thought about like the fact that there are so many anti-Black, racist, colorism issues here
Yeah.
that needed to be brought up, and that it could be brought up alongside with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Because Black Lives Matter, for us at least, I feel like the topic of it is an umbrella for everything else that's happening. Yeah.
Okay, I think you like touched on like a bunch of things just now. But I agree. Like a lot of people here don't really understand what I mean. They love hip hop. It's like, you know, a lot of these people in the scene who are rapping or who's enjoying it, it's just like their thing. But
Yeah.
it's like so detached from them, other than what surface level, like what they hear, what like the lyrics and the beat or whatever, and apart from that, it's not really something that I feel like a lot of people grasp. And I don't know, like the beginning of hip hop is more like rebellion music, you know, just
Yeah.
like expressing yourself for a social cause. So all of this like ties in. And what I wanted to say was just like, I don't know if I'm like surprised that people here like say the N-word because they're so into the hip hop persona.
That's something that actually, honestly, it took me a lot of time to learn. But you cannot blame people in Malaysia for like thinking that it's okay, just purely because we do not have that history here. We're not taught about that, about slavery here.
Yeah.
At least in like public schools. Like, I'm not really sure because, yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm just assuming. But it's also because like people, like, it is a privilege to know all of this, because honestly, when I was, I think, 14, I used to say the N-word. Like, I used to be one of those people until I got online. I started researching, and I think it's also because I was afforded the opportunity to be on that platform. And there are not enough channels where people who are speaking in different languages are explaining to you what is the history behind the N-word, what is the history behind hip-hop, what is the history behind, like, you know, Black music, Black culture. So I think that I hate Twitter, especially because it just, they do it in such an aggressive way. And the thing is, I used to be one of you. You know, when I see those tweets and I see those people just literally like going ham, calling this person stupid, like, I think back and I'm like, I used to be like you. And then I realized that you really can't just yell at somebody and think that they're gonna be okay and they're gonna process everything, because it doesn't work that way. And it's so privileged for you to be able to yell at this person and call them stupid, because they're not from the same background. They didn't get the same opportunities as you know.
So like, well, what they receive from all this is not, it's not really like what it means and how it's supposed to be, like hip hop, what I'm talking about, but like it's more about them expressing themselves in a way that they just like, or like the lifestyle of what is shown on media, you know, and that kind of comes along with it. But what I see now also is that people are starting to, like, because of people like you who are like bringing it up and like making note of what it actually means, people are starting to really realize it. Especially like, I don't know, like Mekith here said like people were saying it back then, like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm sure people say it now, but it's much more of a discussion now.
Yeah, and I feel like that's good, because like I really like what RTV did when they put out that post about why they shouldn't say the N-word, and it was in so many languages, because that is what we need. You know, we need to stop buying into this American propaganda of how racism works. Because yes, like, I truly believe racism in America and here are two different systems.
Yeah.
The reason why there was so much backlash on racism in my comments was because every single race in Malaysia does experience racism and colorism, but like colorism is so much more apparent. You know, darker skinned Malays do experience greater discrimination than like light skinned Malays. Darker skinned Chinese people do face more discrimination. And like I feel like people were focusing too much on the fact that I was only bringing up like darker skinned minorities rather than like, and they didn't feel included in that sense.
Yeah.
Because I didn't discredit anybody's any race from like, oh, you don't experience it, because there is no white person of Malaysia. Like there's no race that is the white people of Malaysia.
I don't know
You get what
about
I mean?
that. No.
No, there isn't, because the thing is like the white people are the reason why these systems are in place.
Yeah,
they
but
came in here and like they've been. No, the thing is like it
Alright.
stops like it's in like. Honestly, like the racial systems in America and Malaysia are very different.
Yeah.
Like they are. Yes, there are certain opportunities. It's more complex, but I don't know. Like I'm not trying to compare between both. I
Yeah.
feel like colorism over here is a bigger issue. You know. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't. I think that colorism around the world, it's not as much of a topic as like racism is, and I think it becomes more niche. I don't know what the word is, but like people pay more attention to it as it's more in the closer vicinity. You know, like with statistics, you can say Indian population, Malay population, whatever. But like within the Indian community or the Malay community, you would be able to like experience certain things just because you're darker or
Yeah.
lighter. And I don't know if we don't have a white person, man, like
I think
race equivalent.
It applies in certain situations. You know what I mean? Like it applies in certain situations. It doesn't apply in certain situations. For me, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, what Alicia said, like the conservative Malays and the light skinned Malays, the ones who are more privileged, I can see that working, like in sense of like opportunities that are given. Yes, you can say they're the whites, but I feel like attaching that sentiment.
Yeah.
Of, like,
No, I know what you mean by like
Yeah.
having certain like connotations, like damaging connotations to what it actually could mean
Yeah,
is problematic.
Yeah, it's too general.
Just to say, I do understand that, but to make light of the situation and like put it more into perspective is that like racism or like systemic racism especially happens in America because white people have been the ruling class for like as long as it's been, you know. And similarly, how you can see that is that Malays also have been the ruling class in Malaysia for however long it is, and like they in place laws and regulations and whatnot to keep them there. And I think the bigger part of it that I wanted to take note is that majority of people here are Malays, you know. And having laws to ensure your placement within society if you are a majority kind of contradicts the whole point of like being, I don't know, just, for example. But this is a little bit of a divergence from what we want to talk about with you. But you have been vocal with like how you are appropriating hip-hop music, and in a sense, do you think that that's a responsibility for you just because you like hip-hop music? Like you said just now, people just take it for surface level, and that is fine, and it could be fine with you as well. Like you don't do you think that you from that necessarily have a responsibility?
I have a responsibility because I know better, you know, because I know so many things that people don't. Because I've been like early on when I used to when I was in the Twitter Black Lives Matter movement, I was called out by this black person, because actually a couple of them, because they felt that I was over speaking on it, and I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I had the power to do that, firstly. But it was a learning moment. It's things like that, like things that bring me down, that get me, because when it comes to activism on Twitter, you get into this high where you actually feel like you know everything. until somebody from that group literally just brings you down. You gotta learn everything
Yeah.
over again. But every time you do that, the more you just put your ego aside and you are open to learning so much about these issues in a more complex way,
Yeah.
the more you actually kind of are able to talk to people and educate people better. Because I don't think if I was the same person I was back in 2016, I would be able to talk to like the post I made. It would not be the same. It would not be worded the same. It would not, like, my platform would not be the same. I Yeah, I just feel like right now I didn't see a reason for me not to say anything, because I think that the people that want to say all of this, that want to be heard, they couldn't have a platform. They couldn't have like a place where they could say something. Because like my friends, they are immigrants, and they know the laws. They know that there's nothing that they can do when the policeman like stops them just for a random check. They can't say no. You know, they always have to have their passports on them. They always
Yeah.
have to have the documents on them. And I just think it's bullshit. It's like, it's crazy, because I've seen my friend get denied a bank account for 2 years. And how are you supposed to be in Malaysia without a bank account for 2 years, in college alone with your parents like halfway across the world? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, these people don't have anybody to talk to and like fight for them, or at least even be heard. You get what? Yeah. So
If you guys want to know what Joe's talking about, we put a link in the description of a thread that she's made about people's experiences that they sent to her
yeah,
of racism and colorism, especially
Yeah.
like immigrants in Malaysia. So
yeah, immigrants and also ethnic minorities. A lot of Indian people sent me their experiences about facing colorism, racial discrimination. And like the thing is, like, why I felt the thread was really important and why I needed these people to come up. And that's why I got so pissed when somebody started reporting the stories, because these people, it took a lot for them to come up to me and tell me. And then a lot of them even told me to, like, you know, withhold their identities because they were scared.
yeah,
And for them to do all of that, for them to feel like they could open up, and then suddenly I have to tell them I'm sorry, like it got taken down. You know, it's like a stab in the back, man. Like, it's so fucked up, because again, remember we were talking just now, these people, their stories don't get told unless they die. Every time you hear a horror story about like an immigrant in detainment or an immigrant facing racial discrimination, it's after they're dead. Like, what can you do for them? And it's so fucked up, because it's like, how can you save somebody when they've died?
Yeah.
It's just like George Floyd. You get what I mean? So I feel like that's one thing I hated when I saw my comments, that people thought I was making too much of a big deal of this racial situation when there were bigger issues. Because do you want it to get to this point? Do you want us to like experience the George Floyd like riots and protests for you to let me just bring this up? You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Young Kai, for donating. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the discussions we need to have in Malaysia is definitely, I mean, we're behind. Like, it's not something that even Malays, for example, like me, like it's not something that I can easily just bring up with some of my like, I don't know, not so privileged or urban friends or family, and then for me to just say something like, this is a problem, could be a problem in itself, and that's why I think it's important for people who have the like reach to be able to like speak on things that directly affects them, you know. And like I asked before, the hip-hop appropriation thing I think plays a big part, because you really take note of what you're doing, where your art comes from, like you pay homage, you know, like for something
Yeah.
that you don't just like take things because it's like profitable for you, but
Yeah.
you get to know it more and fully, and that in itself teaches you to be more vocal about, I don't know, like certain
Yeah,
things.
and the thing is, like, you don't have to be in hip hop to actually feel a responsibility, because honestly, like, so much of international history has been whitewashed to hide how many black scientists there were, how many black inventors there were, how many black people actually started different, let's say in music. A lot of black people start a lot of music, a lot of genres in music was started by black people, but not a lot of people know that because it's so whitewashed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I feel like the more opportunities there are for people to understand why there is a responsibility to respect this race, like this race that has given us so much culture, so much art, so much music, to fight for them, to give them like the respect that they should receive, I think then, yeah, I just feel like I wish there were more, like, okay, I don't know whether you want to touch on this, but like what happened with like the Malaysian hustler thing, one thing that I wish I could have handled was that I wish I could have communicated with him in Malay so that he would understand my thoughts better.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I felt bad for him because when we were DMing, I kept asking him, "Are you sure you can understand me? Because I really want you to understand. I don't want your apologies. I just think that you should say something because you know you took the time out of your day to come on my post and tell me what I should and shouldn't say. So you obviously have the time to say something." Yeah. So the language barrier is just such a big. The language barrier is not only like a big obstacle; it's a big privilege for people when learning about social issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I feel like if you don't have a good grasp on English, like these things don't even come across to you, or you're able to even like understand half of the things that it's supposed to mean. And for me personally, like I do think, like my place in this, like I would like to be able to do that as well. Just speak Malay on things that need to be spoken about because a majority of people just cannot do that, cannot speak English. And I think that's like whole blaming thing or expecting thing. It's a bit difficult for us to move forward because like he said, people are like trying to point at you, a female rapper, artist in hip hop, who's not immediately saying something about Black Lives Matter, even though for you, like you would need to like deal with your own shit first, and then secondly, you would need to be able to address it properly. You know, especially given your audience, like I'm sure Malaysian Hustler is your audience, like
I have no idea because honestly, I feel like the only reason why he talked about Get Money was because Samira was on it. Like, no hate. It's just like the only time you want to give me like any attention is like to tell me not to talk about racism. Come on, girl, grow up. Grow up.
But I'm sure you also have. I'm sure you also have like audience who like don't really understand what you're like rapping about. Like there are just like Malays or I don't know any race actually just listens because it's like music. They can like vibe to it, but not necessarily understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like the conflict I feel when like I am obviously like I'm very confident with portraying myself as somebody who's very like sex positive, who's very body positive, and I feel some type of way when I see men like straight men get like satisfaction out of that because it's like this is not for you, girl. This is for the girls. This is not for you. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that same conflict in my head, but I think that's why I needed to say something about racism and about colorism because if those people, the straight Malay or conservative people are on my Instagram and they're seeing my shit, I should say something of words so that at least while they're scrolling through pictures of me looking, like a thotty, they can also learn something. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I think I felt like I wanted to put it on my Instagram because most of my conversations or my tweets, like or my posts on social issues, it's always on Twitter. And then I realized that my reach on Twitter is not as big as Instagram, and that's where I need to be doing it. Yes, it's gonna be putting like a big ass bullseye on me, but you know what? Like at least I did something.
And like, I mean, I don't like. I have a strong feeling with people who's like, who cares a bit too much about their aesthetic, like Instagram aesthetic and stuff like that, or like brand image, and but I don't know, like also like ironically it's becoming on brand to post about Black Lives Matter now, so I think it's a bit iffy, but I do think that like utilizing the bigger reach or like the bigger platform
Yeah.
that you have to speak on things, despite your followers not really like who might not understand it or whatever, being exposed to it, because they might actually learn something. For me, I think that I don't really see a lot of people speaking out so much, especially I wanted to bring up, do you know about the bunk face issue that happened?
Oh
I'm not even
yeah,
sure when that
the
was, like a couple
gay
months
people
ago.
should die.
Yeah. Like these people come from, I don't know like what kind of music that is, whatever, like punkish punk rock music, and I know
Which
that.
is so ironic.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly.
you wanna be homophobic in like a genre that actually stands up against homophobia.
And that goes to like
God.
all these like rappers as well. I think it's very hand in hand, you know, like you can't really be like that when the basis of your expression is that, you
Yeah,
know.
I get it. I get what you mean. But like, okay, because like sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a perfect person. Sometimes I do feel some sort of way when I see like my bigger peers, they stay silent on certain things, and I have to remind myself that I know these people as people, and they are people, and I can't really force anybody to do anything they want to, because I was in that position where people were literally forcing me to do something that I wasn't ready to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it sucks that people online, especially Twitter, feel so like they feel so like like they're owed so much from this person. And I think that again it just deviates away from the cause and what we should really be talking about. And another thing is also just comes out really sexist. Like I'm still hung up on that point. Like I'm still hung up on the fact that they literally only name dropped the female rappers.
Yeah.
No, because the funny thing is they I went on that tweet, and underneath it, this girl was saying, "Oh yeah, you know, no one in Malaysian hip hop even said like raps about social issues." And I'm like, are you kidding me? There are so many, like there okay, I wouldn't say there's so many, but there are rappers who do rap about social issues.
Yeah.
Like they Loca B, she has a song out about domestic abuse. You know, Sayla has songs out on is it, I know it has to do with racial discrimination, because I don't really understand Malay, so I didn't know what he was saying. But yeah, I know he has that, and I know he advocates for that. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, you just did a surface level YouTube Google up about Malaysian rappers, and you saw that it was just all these fun songs, and you were like, yeah, nobody does it. And again, this is what I'm saying, like, without exposure to artists, the underground artists in Malaysia, people are just gonna blindly go about assuming things and talking shit that they don't know about.
Yeah.
You know?
And it could
And
be
I just
hurtful
hate
too.
that. Yeah, it is. It's so hurtful, because you're gonna tell that to other people who are gonna have even more like nose up in the air judgment views on Malaysian music than the Malaysian music industry, which is one of the reasons why like our industry is dying. It's because people don't believe in us, because they assume that we're all just out here making like dumb music, saying nothing, no creativity whatsoever. Like all these people who are like, oh, I love Lady, blah, blah. And I'm just like, they don't have music over here like that. And I'm just like, are you even looking? Like, bruh.
I mean, okay, so with that, like, you can obviously see that there's like this like crazy distinction between like two really different groups. Like, one, people who are like ignorant or like don't really care about any of these things, and then the other is just like the uppity, trying to like be on everyone's shit, and neither of those
contribute to the cause.
contributes, yeah. And I think people are really losing attention about like what's really going, like talking about what's really going on.
Yeah.
And you said earlier that one of your biggest causes, like if you would, in Malaysia, is about immigrant rights.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a bit more?
Oh my god, wait, I gotta like open the door for my dog.
It's fine.
Okay, go. Darling, go. I have to talk about immigrant rights. I'm so sorry. Sorry, what was your question again?
No, you mentioned earlier that like one of the things that you would fight for if given the chance would be like immigrant rights.
Yeah, for me, that kind of stemmed from just I grew up in Abu Dhabi, and my idea of Abu Dhabi was really happy. It was really great. The streets were clean. It was kind of like Singapore, but with more brown people.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Yeah, and then I grew up, and when I was 16, I saw this documentary about the way that they treated the immigrant workers, and it just shattered me because I grew up seeing this perfect picture, this happy picture of Abu Dhabi, and the fact that they were hiding all of this. They were hiding literally like slavery, daylight slavery, under concrete, under like the big skyscraper buildings. That just didn't sit right with me. I remember being like really emotional when I was watching that because I couldn't believe it. Like I couldn't even believe that these people were going through all of this while I was happily living there. And that makes me like that makes me feel really helpless in a sense that I know a lot of people who come here in Malaysia, and like the immigrant laws and the migrant laws are just not catered for them to even speak out or get
Yeah.
help or live a peaceful life. You know, like I think that that's what made me upset the most, that they couldn't just live a normal, they couldn't survive. Everything is just against them, and I feel like it's become so normalized, like the fact that, you know, everyone kind of knows that all your Nepali like security guards are all kind of on meth. Like that is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean? Like that it's just this culture that we've just accepted, that they just have to be on crack to stay up and to do their job.
Oh, I've
Do
never
you get
even
what I
heard
mean?
this.
Really?
No.
Girl, like, and that's the thing. That's the thing. These kind of stories, these kinds of stories, they're not on the news media. They're not.
Yeah.
Because these people who are suffering from this discrimination, who are suffering from poor labor laws, from low wages and long hours, they're not being able to come up and say anything. They're not being able to like voice their experiences and get people who care and who can make a change, us people who have rights here somewhat, to like go and start a conversation,
Yeah.
go and get something done. So yeah, like I think it's a really big battle to climb for migrant rights, especially with the way that they're treating the Rohingyans. And it's like, I live in Bukit Jalil. This shit is happening like super close to where I am right now, and I just feel so helpless because I can't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think really the funny part about all this is just like the perception that Malaysians have on immigrants, and it's so like distorted to what it actually is.
Yeah.
Like they are coming here because we have a demand. Like it's literal economics. Like
Yeah.
we have a demand because no one wants to do those jobs. It's
Yeah.
just as simple as that. And then if you rely on these people to do these jobs, automatically because they are like lower ranking or lower social jobs, you look down on them, and then it becomes like this.
Yeah, it's the system
Yeah.
that just it encourages this behavior and this culture to treat them the way that we treat them,
Yeah.
to see them the way that, and in turn, if somebody keeps treating you like shit, obviously you're gonna feel like shit, and you're gonna see yourself and you're gonna be like, I'm shit.
Yeah.
Because everybody in this community thinks I'm shit. Like they treat me like I'm nothing. Yeah, and the worst thing is like I find it so fucked up that the reason a lot of like older people, like a lot of like aunties that I see, like they'll tell their kid, oh, you should be nice to her because, you know, she doesn't have a good life. And I'm just like, that's not what you should be saying. You should be saying like these people should be having a good life because they're people and they work hard, and yet, you know, our system is so flawed. I have to open the door again. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I just feel like even though it's a really big reach for me to want Malaysians to be more educated on systemic racism and how systems are put in place to make us have these thoughts, to make us be in this culture, to make us act this way and see certain racial groups in a certain light, I feel like it needs to happen. like at least I'm just gonna try. Even if you don't get it, at least the word's gonna be in your mind. Even if you don't end up searching it up, you'll at least be familiar with it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that this, I mean, immigrant rights is not really a discussion even on like uppity Twitter that much. Like it's not that of a discussion at all. And I think if you really
right now it is, especially because of like the way that they're detaining the reunions.
Yeah, I mean, no, I was talking more about like perceptions and like the cultural systems that like enforced these ideas on them, because I don't know, I think we've grown, like you said, it's normalized, like we're growing used to these people working those jobs and having these perceptions, but like white people in the corporate offices in KL doesn't really receive the same thing, even though they're both coming in here to like find opportunities. Moving forward, I would also like to touch on like how you were one of the first people to be in the Women's March, and this happened like in Malaysia, and this happened like 3-4 years ago.
This I think was like a couple months after the first Women's March internationally happened. Basically, it was I feel like I have really fond memories of like that time on Twitter, because everyone was there was a lot of camaraderie. I feel like right now Twitter and Twitter activists and Twitter users, they're very broken up because it's just a lot of personal shit, and honestly like some people, they burn bridges, and that's fine. But like back then everyone was just so together and they were just one unit, and especially when it came to the Women's March, everyone was just so united. And I remembered when I first heard that they were gonna have a Women's March, all of my friends were so excited. None of my international friends could come because they were scared that they were gonna get arrested, because they're not allowed to join any sort of protests in Malaysia. So I remember going there, and we all went there without any expectations because we didn't know whether a lot of people would come. A lot of other people were scared that like the police would come and like,
break you up.
Yeah, or like arrest us and shit. And most of the people who went were women and queer people. So yeah, it was like I think around 40 people. It was really fun. We walked around. It wasn't as big. It really, like, when I went last year, I was like, damn, what the fuck? Where were all of you before? Holy shit. It went from, like, 0 to 100, like, literally, in every sense of the word. But one thing I did not like about the first Women's March was that the people who organized it, they had some help from, like, a communist group in Malaysia. And it was this guy, and I will not forget what he said during we had a talk at a mama after the march, and basically he was like, if all of you women just stopped working for one day, there would be reform. And I was just like, are you fucking I just paused and I got up and I was like, that is very privileged of you to be like, every single one of you just stop working at the stores, stop working at the restaurants, just stop doing it and you'll get change. Like, are you fucking crazy? Like, are you dumb, bruh? Holy shit. I didn't say that. I was trying to be respectful because they were older people. So I was like, that is a very privileged way of you to be thinking that. And that's one thing I didn't like about the first Women's March. Too many men were coming up here telling us what to do. And I was like, your heart is in the right place. I will give you that. But do not come up here telling me that all women should just stop working for one day. Like, I will whoop some ass. Just watch me. Yeah.
I mean, that's more of an agenda, right? Like bringing up other forms of or methods to bring up the change that you would like to see.
Yeah, it was just in poor taste. The
I get it.
was in the right place. I could feel that. I'm like, I feel you. You want us both to have equal rights, but the way you're talking right now, you gotta cut it out. That's why when I went for last year's Women's March, and I heard one of my friends actually got up and she was on the mic, and I was so proud of her because it was just like only women were talking, only women, and it was like was really great. I feel like no, I don't. In no way do I mean to like discredit any of the voices coming to Women's March, because we do get a lot of the gay community comes out to to support us as well, and the communist movement comes to support us as well. And I'm in no way trying to demean them. It's just like going to last year's Women's March. It was such a big improvement in hearing like female voices, and like I feel like I wish there was a women's march for migrant workers, but the only way that there would be is if we, the people who do go for women's march, who do go for birthday, who do go for all these protests, we come in and we represent them, which is like it's really hard for people to do, because you know it's a lot to ask of somebody to just like put yourself in the shoes of somebody else who's fight for a cause that's bigger than you.
Yeah, I don't know, like it's a bit difficult, right? Like to be able to represent them in a way where, because of the fact that they are so in place that they can't, you know, march and or even speak up for themselves in any kind of setting, like to their bosses. Even like I've heard like stories where they just take the passports and they have no way of going home or doing anything other than just like being forced to work at maybe below minimum wage. And I do think that if given the proper opportunities, speaking for them would be good, but definitely pay attention to like giving them the proper like at least employment rights is, I think, like a first step.
I feel like we can start there. Like, with employment rights, that would be great.
Yeah.
But again, I wish we were people in parliament, you know, sitting at our desks trying to reform the world, but we're not. And that's the problem. Like, it needs to start here for it to get there.
But I do, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I can't really speak on like what it actually is, but I can say like what I see, and I do think that there's more involvement or like more awareness from younger people, or like the younger generations, talking about politics and talking about social issues amongst each other. I don't think like a talk like this or the things that's happening on Instagram or social media right now would really happen like when I started coming in the music industry like 6-7 years ago. People are more open to talk about it, even the less privileged people, and I think that is an indicator of what's to come in the future for us. I'm just like looking through the things.
Me too. Hi, Neja. I don't know if she left. I feel like she just came in and just watched me for her. Oh, she's okay.
No, she's there.
What do you advocate for? I want to know.
I definitely come, like you said, like there is no white race in Malaysia. I definitely disagree with that, and that's because of like how much privilege I can see what I can get in comparison to a lot of people around me, my friends. And if I can, like, I would definitely talk about, I think, the culture of how Malays or like racial identities see themselves. And it's definitely because it reinforces a lot of these systems and these laws that are in place. If you talk a lot about Bumi Putra rights, a lot of Malays are just like, oh, what if the other races rise and they kick us out and shit like that. And it's something to do with like insecurities or something. Like you feel so little about yourself that you need laws to keep you safe and secure. And I don't know, it's like things that I've been talking about with my friends at a very small level.
I feel like what you said with that statement about Malays being scared that the other races will take over, I think that yes, it's funny, but it also shows like the level of propaganda that they're being fed. You know, like the level of like poor knowledge that they're being fed to by people who are higher than them.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's a cultural thing. Like it's
Really?
in
You think
it's
it's a cultural
I
thing?
think it's ingrained in us since like because
Yeah, but where did it stem from? You know
I
what
don't know.
mean?
But like
Exactly. The thing is, like, a theory is that it stems from these people who are put in power. You know, that this is the
no.
this is what the
I think of that as definitely before that. Like even I mean maybe it could something to do with like colonialism at some
It
point,
definitely does. It definitely does.
but like I was in a course in school in university a couple years ago, and I was in a course called race and science. For some reason I was like reading this article or like no this book or whatever it was about this white anthropologist who went to Malaysia, and he's writing about Malay characteristics, and it was a lot about humility and like they don't really want to speak too loud or whatever, and but then there's also another sentence after that which is like but they always talk about other people when they're not around or something like that, you know. And it like for me I was just like, oh wow, like he picked up on this like little trait of a race or like a culture way back then that I can see now. And I do think that like the systems are like reinforcing it, but I do think that like Malay insecurity stems from like a really long time ago, just a cultural, traditional, custom, behavioral trait.
It's like habit.
Yeah,
like,
no, I don't know.
Ingrained in their DNA. Basically.
No, I think it's a cultural thing, like how we respect elders. Like, and a big part of Asia has like a large, huge respect for elders is because of Confucius. Like, because he in place as this like familial hierarchy, where you respect your whatever your old elders say, you must respect. And up until now, we have this like ingrained in us, you know, like we must respect elders because of whatever it is, and it's just part of us. And I think Malays have a similar thing with insecurities. But yeah, so if
oh my god, I can see everyone losing their shit after that. If you know, you know.
I don't want to get too much into like what I think because this is not a podcast about me. So
yeah, but it's nice for me to hear because like honestly, I really would love like for you guys like especially because Hoax has so many people who do speak Malay to actually touch on this, to actually learn up about it, to actually speak up on it, because you guys actually do have such a big reach on the young kids who may or may not do some bigotry in their spare time, but they don't know any better. So I feel like that would be really nice to hear you guys touch on something at least. I
think like the way that Hoax has approached it, I mean for me, like I've always tried to not stray but like reach out towards the non-urban areas. The KL is too small, like our scene or our industry is too tiny, so everybody knows everybody kind of thinks like everyone, you know. And Hoax tries to like reach out towards like non-urban people, and I guess that's where the language thing could help with like people speaking Malay, you know, or like connecting in a way where they understand, but also being part of the scene. Anyway, enough about my I think that's all for what I have for you today. If you have anything that you want to shout out or anything before we end.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. Don't be transphobic or I'll kill you. Gay rights. Gay people don't only just want to get married, they want to live too. Learn up on Marsha P. Johnson. Don't be racist. Don't be bigots. Don't rape people. Don't sexually assault people. There's just a lot of things because like, oh my god, this month's just been super chaotic. I'm just trying to say everything I'm trying to say. But yeah, just like, and everybody who's attacking anybody for being stupid or whatever, just try to at least approach it in a nice way. I know like bigots don't deserve your respect, but we want the bigots to turn into non-bigots.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Communicate.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know bigots are really hard to deal with, but just try. Just try. We want them to turn into non-bigots, not continue being bigots. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for being part of Safehouse S2u's podcast. Before she leaves and everyone leaves, we haven't been making a lot of money. So if you do want to support us, we have a donation link down below for anything. And if you guys just want to see us do more podcasts or more music or events like that, the donation link is down below. We also put a link tree to Black Lives Matter movement and all the information that you would need, including petitions and donations, anything that you would like to contribute to the cause is down below. So thanks, Joe, for
No
sharing
problem.
with us everything. I'll see you around.
Yeah. Happy Pride Month!
Happy Pride Month.